Got the door panel here, held up nice and neat, courtesy of Mr. Ricketts here. So the 6.5 still going to stay up here. The 8's going to be right here, here, and there. Doing a wood panel. We're going to fiberglass it to the door panel, and it should be fun. It's my first door panel ever, so we'll see how it turns out. Got my old speaker pod out. So what I want to do is, since my door panel's already torn up here, and I got the speakers, I'm going to do a 6.5 and then 3/8. That's the goal. And I've watched a lot of videos and followed people for years how to do this. This is my first time doing it. I'm just kind of showing my experience doing it and, you know, video logging my build. So y'all can see how it's going. And because I like doing this and I like watching it. So I took cardboard and kind of made a template for what I want to do. This is going to be kind of the speaker, the panel, something like that. I'm going to do wood panel. I'm not going to do pods. I like the panel look. So I didn't show it because it took, you know, a while tracing it out and figuring it out. But I got my panel kind of like this. Speaker, 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 speaker. It fits. It works well with the other door panel as well. And so I took this, you know, and I kind of got it laid out on it. And this is just kind of rough, you know. So you take it, or I'm taking it, to put on the wood. And then I'm going to trace it out on the wood. Let me turn you around. So I laid this down on my 3/4 piece of birch. What I'm going to do is I've got it marked out for my speakers. I'm going to go ahead and cut my speaker holes out, and then I'll cut this whole thing out, and then I can use a router to mimic this panel on another one. So I'm gonna actually make like 3 because I want to have one to keep. So if I ever do decide, or if one breaks, or I screw one up, I already have a template for another one. Or if somebody else has an Expedition or an F-150 that a door panel like this would work on, it'll kind of save them some time. So I'm gonna get the jigsaw and I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna cut these out and then make me a couple copies. Then I'll be able to set it up on my door panel and raise it up and see how far I actually need to stick it off of the door panel to clear the speakers without hitting my seat. That is the hard part, is figuring out how much space you need, because mine is going to be, my magnets will be like right off my door panel and the cones will be right against my seat, so it's going to be close. Got my panel cut out. I used a jigsaw. After I had traced my template onto the wood, I used a jigsaw to cut it out. Came out good. And then I used a rabbiting bit and did that to countersink the speakers a little bit. And now I'm taking this board and I'm using some clamps. I clamped it onto another sheet of wood. I'm going to flip this over and use a flush trim bit in a router, and it will cut out the bottom layer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the speaker holes first, and then once I cut out the speaker holes, I'll go ahead and use the rabbiting bit to countersink them, and then once I do that, I will cut completely out, just because I think that that's going to be easier than cutting the whole panel out and then using a rabbiting bit on just this little bit. Because when I cut this panel out, I cut my circles out first, and then I cut the whole thing out. And I'll show you that on this one too. Well, got them cut out. I had to move the clamps quite a bit. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but it was successful. My back hurts, getting old. All right, I'm gonna flip it over, do the rabbiting bit, and then I'll cut it out. Now I'm gonna use a rabbiting bit, and that'll countersink the speakers. On the 6.5, I gotta change out the bearing. The last time I did it, it's just a little too. I tell you, the vacuum attachment does not hardly do a thing. My garage is a mess right now. Perfect. I didn't hit record, but I tried to cut both pieces out. Well, I tried to cut, using the flush mount to cut out the bottom piece for the passenger side. But I got to push on it too much. It's not holding down. My sawhorses aren't good. I don't have anybody here to help me, so I'm just going to have to trace it and cut it with the jigsaw because I don't want to risk screwing up the panels. So that sucks, but it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do. Well, I'm going to have to put it on the ground and just cut it like this because it's going to fall and whatever. We're doing it. Voila! We got 2 door panels. Mounting the panels on the door panel. I just took wood and hot glue. I kind of set it in my car to see how far they had to be off the door panel to fit the speakers. And so I started here, and then I just kind of built it up in some spots. I mean, it's sitting on there. I could have started with brand new door panels. It's gonna take a while to get it finished, but it's not impossible. So that's what I'm kind of doing here. On this one, I went ahead and cut some of it out, but I needed to leave some places to glue my post which I didn't think about. Now when I set it on, this kind of bends down a little bit, so I had to bend this, make this piece a little longer than my original one, just to take up for some of the spring back. So we'll see how that works, but it's a process. Panel's on, laid a layer of fiberglass on it. Everything's taped off. I'm just letting it sit for a second. And I'm gonna close the door. I got everything. It's already taped off where it's gonna hit, which it's only gonna hit just a tiny bit down here and just a tiny bit up here. So I'm letting it sit up for just a minute, then I'm gonna close the door so it kind of self molds to it. And hopefully that's gonna be good enough. When it dries, we'll be able to take the panel off, finish cutting out the inside of the original door panel underneath there, and then add some more fiberglass in the cracks all the way around and some mat to make it good and solid. I'm about to open the door. We're gonna see if the tape or if the resin stuck to the tape. I thought about spraying it with like a non-stick cooking spray, spraying the tape so the door didn't stick to it, but we'll see. I haven't checked it yet, so hopefully it's good. Looky there. See it sat in? I don't know if you can see. So that's good. It didn't stick to the tape. It would have hit. I thought it was gonna hit a little bit right here, but it didn't. So far so good. I'm gonna close her back up and let it sit overnight because it's about 6:30 or 6 something and I'm done for the day.